Hello, I'm Carlton Van Putten, founder and CEO of PayRent. Welcome to the Keys to Success podcast, where we unlock the secrets to smarter investments, smoother tenant management, and bigger profits, one episode at a time. Ready to master your property game? Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive, Keys to Success. You know, the show that helps you unlock all those secrets to success. And guess what? This deep dive is going to be awesome because it's all about becoming a landlord. It's custom made just for you. We're going to go on this journey together. It's going to be exciting, informative, all that good stuff. Ready?
You got it. We're going to cover everything you need to know, from figuring out if you're really ready for this landlord thing all the way to buying the right property. We'll even talk about the legal stuff, how to manage your properties like a pro, and how to set yourself up for success in the long run. Really make this thing work.
I can't wait. There's so much to learn. But before we even jump into all that, I came across something really interesting. Did you know that successful landlords, like the pros, they actually put aside like 10% of all the rent they get?
Yeah, 10% might not seem like a huge amount, right?
Yeah.
But over time, that little stash can be a lifesaver. You never know when you'll need it. Unexpected repairs pop up. Sometimes you've empty properties for a bit. Those things happen. Being prepared is super important.
Okay, so that's like rule number one. Always be ready for the unexpected. Got it. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and talk about you. Yeah, you. Are you even cut out to be a landlord? That's the big question.
It's so important to be honest with yourself here. Becoming a landlord isn't just about buying a place and then just sitting back and collecting rent. It's a real commitment. It takes your time, your energy, even your emotions can get involved sometimes.
I get that. Everyone loves the idea of passive income, money just flowing in, but there's got to be some downsides too, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. What about those late night calls when a pipe bursts? Or what if you have tenants who just can't get along? Are you the kind of person who can handle all that? Or would it keep you up all night worrying?
Okay, so it's not just about the money.
Yeah.
Being a landlord takes a certain personality, right? You got to be good at solving problems, you got to be comfortable dealing with people, and you probably need to be okay with things not always going according to plan.
Exactly. And you got to think about your goals. What are you hoping to get out of this? Are you looking for a quick return on your investment? Or are you thinking long-term, building wealth slowly over time?
That makes sense. Knowing your goals is going to help you make the right decisions. Okay, so we've done some soul searching, figured out what kind of landlord we might be. Now let's talk about the fun part, the property. Finding that perfect rental property. It's got to be like hitting the jackpot, right?
It's kind of like a treasure hunt. But instead of a pirate map, we've got market research, financial analysis, all that strategic stuff. It's exciting.
I love that. A treasure hunt for real estate. Okay, so what are we looking for in our Golden Goose property? What makes a rental property really stand out?
Well, location is always a big deal. Think about how close it is to things people need, like grocery stores, transportation, schools, things that renters would be looking for.
So basically, we got to put ourselves in the renter's shoes. What would we want if we were looking for a place? But it's not just about finding a place that looks nice, right? It's got to be a smart financial move, too.
You got it. You really need to think about how much rent you could get for the place. Look at the local market, see what other places are renting for. Even think about whether the property value might go up in the future.
Okay, so it's more than just getting a good deal. It's about finding a property that's going to bring in some cash and help you build wealth over time.
Got it.
Now, I've heard a lot about LLCs. Do we need to set one up before we even start looking at properties?
That's a smart question. An LLC can actually help protect you a bit. It kind of separates your personal stuff from your rental business, just in case anything goes wrong. But it does add a little more paperwork and can sometimes cost extra.
So it's not a simple yes or no answer then?
It really depends on you, your situation, how much risk you're comfortable with, and the specific property you're looking at. You know what might be helpful? Talking to a lawyer who can walk you through the pros and cons.
Okay, so responsible landlord tip number 2. Talk to a lawyer before doing anything big. Got it.
And while we're on the topic of legal things, let's talk about the Fair Housing Act. This is really important for both landlords and tenants.
I know it's about making sure everyone has a fair chance to get housing right, no discrimination.
That's right. It makes sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to rent a place, no matter their race, religion, where they're from, whether they have a family, or if they have a disability. As a landlord, you really need to understand this act.
Makes sense. It protects tenants from unfair treatment and helps landlords stay on the right side of the law. It's like a win-win for everyone.
We've covered a lot, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure. We've talked about what it takes to be a landlord, like mentally and all the legal stuff. Now what? What actually happens when we find that perfect property and we're all good with the Fair Housing Act and everything?
Now's the fun part. You get to turn that property into a place people will love to rent. And of course, you got to find the right people to live there. It's all about making the experience, smooth and successful for you and your tenants.
Smooth sailing. I'm all for that. So where do we start?
Think about it. Imagine you're a potential tenant walking into a place for the first time. What do you want to see? First impressions are everything.
I'd want it to be clean, well-maintained, nothing too fancy, but definitely ready for someone to move in.
Exactly. Think hotel room clean.
Yeah.
A fresh coat of paint can work wonders, sparkling appliances, maybe even stage it a bit.
So we're not just handing over keys to an empty apartment. We're trying to create an experience, a good one, right from the start.
You got it. Now let's talk rent. Setting the right price is super important. Lots of new landlords get tripped up on this.
Okay, so how do we find that sweet spot? A rent that's attractive to tenants, but also, make sure we're making money.
Research. You got to do your homework. Look at what's happening in the rental market. Use those online tools that compare properties. Think about the location, amenities, even the time of year can make a difference.
So like a studio apartment in a busy downtown area during the summer could probably go for more than a similar place in a quieter neighborhood in the off-season.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to show off what makes your property special. Pet-friendly. In-unit laundry, dedicated parking, all those things can make a difference.
It's all marketing, right? Got to present your property in the best possible light.
You got it. High-quality photos are key. Engaging descriptions, maybe even a virtual tour. Think about what would catch your eye if you were the renter.
Okay, the place looks amazing. The rent is perfect. Now we need to find some awesome tenants. How do we know who's going to be responsible and take care of the place?
Tenant screening. That's how. This is your chance to find people who are going to treat your property with respect and pay their rent on time. And remember, you got to be fair and follow the Fair Housing Act throughout the process.
So we're talking credit checks, background checks, making sure they actually have a job and income. All those steps help us minimize risk, right?
Absolutely. It's about protecting your investment and making sure everyone gets along. And once you've found your ideal tenant, remember that lease agreement we talked about? That super important legal document. Make sure it's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Okay, the lease is signed, keys are exchanged, it's official. But now what? What does it actually mean to manage a rental property?
This is it. This is the ongoing part of being a landlord. This is where being proactive and organized is really important. Think of yourself as the captain of a ship. You're steering it towards smooth sailing.
I like that analogy. Okay, Captain, what's our first order of business?
Proactive maintenance. Think of it like taking care of your health. If you address small problems early on, they won't turn into big, expensive headaches.
So regular inspections, responding quickly when tenants have requests, and staying on top of seasonal maintenance. All of that keeps tenants happy and protects my investment.
You got it. And don't forget about rent collection. We live in a digital world now. Online payment systems are a game changer.
So much easier than paper checks, automated reminders, and all that good stuff.
Exactly. And if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, especially if you have multiple properties, you might want to look into property management software.
Oh, yeah. Property management software. I've heard it's like magic. Tell me more.
Think of it as your personal assistant for all things landlord-related. Software like Pay Rent, for example. It can handle rent payments, maintenance requests, tenant screening, even financial reports.
Okay, now that sounds like something I need. It takes care of all those little tasks so I can focus on the big picture.
You got it. But whether you love technology or prefer doing things yourself, staying organized is super important.
I love a good spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Any other tips for keeping things neat and tidy on the financial side of things?
Keep track of everything, every penny that comes in and goes out. I also recommend having a separate REM account just for your rental property. Keeps things clear,
So when it's time to do taxes, I'm not pulling my hair out trying to figure out which expenses were for the rental.
Exactly. Good financial habits make everything run smoother. Trust me.
So we've covered a lot of the basics of being a landlord, but I'm curious about those extra little things. The things that can really make a difference. What separates a good landlord from a great one?
It's all about going above and beyond. Exceeding expectations. Making sure everyone wins, both you and your tenants.
Okay, give me those pro tips. I'm ready.
One thing that really works is incentives. Think about what would make you want to stay in a rental for a long time.
Let's see. Maybe a little discount on the rent when it's time to renew the lease. Or maybe a gift card to a local coffee shop or a home improvement store. Just a little welcome gesture.
Exactly. Little things like that can really make tenants feel appreciated. They're more likely to stay longer, and that means less turnover for you.
Happy tenants, fewer vacancies, more stable income. I like how that sounds. What else can we do to build those good relationships with tenants?
Don't underestimate the power of communication. Checking in with your tenants every now and then can make a big difference, even just a quick email or text.
So it's not just about fixing things when they break. It's about making sure they feel heard and valued.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Ask them how things are going, if they need anything. If there are any little repairs that need attention, be approachable and responsive.
It's almost like building a little community, a sense of shared responsibility for the property.
I like that. And when those maintenance requests do come in, treat each one seriously and try to take care of them quickly.
Nothing's more frustrating than feeling ignored, like your concerns don't matter.
Right. Respond quickly, fix the problem efficiently, and keep your tenant informed every step of the way. It shows you care and that you're invested in their comfort.
Which builds trust, and that's so important in any relationship, especially between a landlord and a tenant.
Now, here's a tip for landlords who've been doing this for a while. Think about offering incentives for lease renewals. It's a great way to reward those awesome tenants. The ones who pay on time, take care of the property, and are just good neighbors.
So instead of just hoping they'll renew their lease, we can actually encourage them to stay by making it a little sweeter.
You got it. It's often easier and cheaper to keep a good tenant than to find a new one. Maybe offer a small rent reduction for the next lease term, or waive a small fee.
Everyone wins.
Yeah.
They feel appreciated, and I get to keep a great tenant. Speaking of transitions, any advice on handling those times when tenants move out? It's got to happen sometimes.
Yeah, turnovers are part of the business, but try to make it as smooth as possible. Have a clear move-out process, a checklist for the final inspection, a transparent system for returning security deposits.
So clear communication, setting expectations, and documenting everything.
You got it. It protects both you and the tenant and makes the transition smooth. Now let's think long-term. How do we not just survive as landlords, but really thrive?
Okay, how do we level up? What does it take to be really successful in the rental property world?
Think of your rental property as a business. Just like any successful business, you need to stay informed, adapt to the market, and always keep learning.
So I got to become a real estate expert.
You don't need a fancy degree or anything, but staying ahead of the game is important. Join landlord associations, go to industry events, read newsletters, connect with other landlords.
So it's all about networking, staying informed, and always learning new things. Never stop growing.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, especially in real estate, because things are always changing.
And of course, keeping up with all those laws and regulations is super important.
You got it. Being a landlord is a journey of constant learning. There will always be new challenges, new opportunities, and new ways to improve your business.
Now, we've covered so much in this deep dive. From figuring out if we're ready to be landlords, to finding the perfect property, navigating the legal stuff, to managing those properties like pros, I feel like I've learned so much in such a short time.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? But I hope you feel empowered and ready to tackle this exciting challenge.
I definitely do. So listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive, I have one last question for you. What one thing will you do differently based on what we've talked about today? What action will you take to make your landlord dreams a reality?
Thanks for joining us on this journey. We wish you all the best in becoming a successful landlord.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Keys to Success. I invite you to check out past episodes and follow us on your favorite podcast platform to get notified when new ones are released. And when you're ready to simplify managing your properties, be sure to visit us at www.payrent.com.